Good evening, everybody. Good to be back. I heard that last week there was some trouble, but I think Xuan-san took measures so that it's not gonna happen again. Today I want to talk about the precious mirror Samadhi, an old Chinese text. But as always, before I talk, let's sit together for 30 minutes.
先够长30分钟啊。
Thank you for joining. So today I want to talk about the precious mirror Samadhi. Let me share the screen with you. So this is the text. I think I shared the email address the website address with this last time, but I will write it in the chat function for those of you who want to check it out later. So this is a homepage that gives some instruction about the author, although we are not really sure if it was written by Tosan or Chinese Dongshan Liangjia, but it's credited to him. A Chinese Zen monk who lived in the 9th century. But some people say that the style of the poem is more like 12th century. Also, what I found interesting is although this text is very important for the Japanese Soto school, as far as I know, Dogen Zenji mentions it's nowhere. In none of the texts of Dogen Zenji he mentions this text, although it's so important. Dogen Zenji is quoting a lot of the Chinese sources. So it could be that Dogen Zenji didn't know the text, and that would be funny. If it's from the 9th century, then Dogen Zenji would know it. So maybe it was actually compiled in China only around the time of Dogen Zenji. So when he traveled to China, for some reason, he didn't hear about it. Maybe it was only compiled after Dogen Zenji. But whoever is the real author and whoever or whenever it was written, let's start with the actual text. This text here, the version is written with old Chinese characters. Maybe if I can expand this, let me try to expand. I have to stop sharing for a second, sorry. And now let me share again. No, I can't. Okay, now this should work. Once more, sharing. Now I have a little bit wider. Now you can hopefully see the original Chinese text. And here, as it's usual with old Chinese and Japanese text, the text is written from the top right downwards, and then you go left. So this would be the title here, or it starts here. That's the character for treasure. And Hokyo Zammai, so the treasure mirror, and this is Sammai. And this is then the first line with Chinese characters. And below that you find it written with current Japanese characters. As probably most of you know, both the Chinese and the Japanese rely, of course, on the classical Chinese characters, but both of them changed them after the Second World War. Changed them means they simplified some of them. And unfortunately, the Chinese and the Japanese didn't coordinate that. So the Japanese changed some characters that the Chinese didn't change, and the Chinese changed some that the Japanese changed. And some characters were changed both by the Chinese and by the Japanese, but in different ways. So that makes it complicated sometimes for Japanese to read a modern Chinese text and the other way around. But here you have a version with the modern Japanese, and you see, for example, the very first character here for treasure. In modern Japanese, you would write it like this. It's more simple. Unfortunately, on this website, we don't have the modern Chinese version. You only have the classical Chinese and the modernized Japanese version. And I want to rely on this English translation here. Actually, there's two English translations, and at the very bottom, there's also how you would read it in Japanese. And again, there is unfortunately no Chinese reading for Westerners, so there's no pinyin translation. But maybe before I start to actually talk about the first lines, Xuan-san can translate for us, and then I will start.
今天我们继续讲宝镜三味歌。然后老师刚刚，其实我们上次说了那个作者是东山良介，但其实我们并不确定是不是他写的，因为没有一个历史的一个具体的一个记载。然后在当时，因为道元禅师就是这个宝镜三味歌特别有名嘛，但是道元禅师的所有的书里面全都没有引用过，就是这篇文章里面的只言片语，他没有用过里面的句子。所以就是有些人或老师啊，他就推测说，是不是道元禅师他不知道宝镜三味歌呢？或者说他来中国就是来学习的时候，他去天童山学习的时候，是不是当时这个宝镜三味歌并不是所有人都知道呢？这就不知道为什么他就是道元禅师出了很多书，但是都没有过这个文章啊。然后然后刚刚老师给我们看了一个就是之前的版本，就是它是竖着写的，是从右到左，然后竖着写的。这个文字呢也有不一样，然后有梵文，然后有简笔画。以前呢是梵语的，但是就是因为日语呢，它也是有之前的文字的，所以这个文字呢，中文从梵语就是从梵文到现在简体文字和现在的日语之前的就是比较日语之前的古文到现在的文字，它也有一些变化，所以文字可能不大一样。然后一会儿老师会讲那个具体每句话的意思。
How is it now? It's better? Okay? Okay, good. All right, let's start with the actual text. Hokyo Zammai in Japanese, or actually you add this last character in Japanese, it would be ka, the song. The last one is song. These are the Samadhi, and this is the treasure mirror. And the first line, Nyose no ho, you would read this in Japanese. And Nyose, these two characters, also the old translations of sutras, they usually start Nyose ga mon, which in Japanese means thus have I heard. So Ananda is basically, how do you say, speaking from memory. Thus have I heard the Buddha speak. So Nyose can simply mean thus, or it can also mean such. And sometimes it's translated like here as thusness or suchness. Ho is the Dharma. And Dharma can mean a teaching, it can mean the truth, it can mean a law, it can also simply mean a thing. Dharma in India also just simply means a thing or phenomenon. And the translation that the translators here chose is the Dharma of thusness is intimately transmitted by Buddhas and ancestors. Transmitted intimately by Buddhas and ancestors are these second four characters. Let me first talk about the first half of the sentence. The Dharma of thusness is perfectly right translation, because nyose can mean thusness and ho means Dharma. But for my feeling, how do you say, it's a little bit confusing, or it leads you the wrong track. When we hear about the Dharma of thusness, first of all, what does it mean? What is it supposed to mean? We don't really understand what a Dharma of thusness is. Thusness is, I don't know, things as they really are. When we take away this, how do you say, veil of illusion, all of us, we see only the illusionary side of things, but there must be a reality behind that. And the Dharma is the teaching from, so to speak, from behind the wheel, from the other side of the curtain. And this teaching was transmitted intimately from Buddhas to ancestors. And this is what I think is misleading. I think it would be much easier and more direct to translate nyose as thus or this. And Dharma as one of the Indian meanings is thing, this here. So rather than saying the teaching of thusness, I would say this is what Buddhas and ancestors transmitted intimately until this day. For example, the Chinese Zen master Rinzai was famous for punching his students. Whenever somebody asked a question, what is Buddha? Or what's the meaning of Bodhidharma coming to the West? He would punch them, or he would shout, Ka! He would give a shout. And what's the meaning of this? The meaning is to bring you back to the reality that you're living right now. And that's what Buddhas and ancestors translated this. It's this. It's not a teaching about thusness. It's exactly this, what you are encountering right now. I think 2 weeks ago, at the end of the Monday Zen and Zazen class, Chris was asking a question, and I forgot what the question was. But I was talking, at that time it was still October, but today would be November 4th. Today is November 4th. It's a completely different day than May 4th. But these 2 days differ in, well, the temperature and what happened on the day, politics, everything, the people that you made, what you eat, everything is different today. November 4th, it's autumn, and May 4th, the end of spring, the beginning of summer. But what makes today special is the fact that it's now. And when May 4th was now, was it a different now, or was it the same now? That was kind of the question that I was discussing with Chris. And I said, well, you could say yes, but you could also say no. It's hard to say anything because you can't compare these 2 nows. There's only one now, and this is this now. And the same you could say about this consciousness, that in my case, if you ask me, who are you? I'm Muho. I'm not Chris, I'm not Schwen, I'm not any of you. But, and we're all different. We have different names, we have different lives, we have different faces and so on, different nationalities. But how do you say, we were using the metaphor of the screen on which this life appears. Is it the same screen, my screen, so to speak? Is it the same screen as your screen? Is it actually two faces that belong to the same universal consciousness? And this answer, just as with the now, you could say, yes, indeed. Or you could say it, no way, no way. Both would be correct. Because how can you compare it? There's no comparison possible. Right now, there's only this one consciousness manifesting at this one moment. And I think that's exactly what this sutra, this text is talking about in the first line when Japanese nyose no ho is mentioned. This thing, this reality. It's not something outside in the world. So if you ask, what thing are you talking about? Where is this one thing that the Buddhas transmitted to Buddhas? What is it that the ancestors intimately transmitted to ancestors? And later it says, now it has arrived in your place. Now you got it. Now you got it. What is it that I got? I didn't get anything from the Buddhas and ancestors. Now you got this one moment, this one consciousness, the only moment in history that's really now, the only conscious among the, how many? 80 millions, 80 billions, 80 billions human consciousnesses that are really in this moment conscious. Right now you have it, you already have it. That's how I read this first line. The Dharma of thusness is not bad, but I would rather say this, right now this, the thing that all the Buddhas and ancestors talked about. It's manifesting right here, right now. It's intimately transmitted by Buddhas and ancestors. Now you have it. Preserve it well. Now, November 4th, 2024 is now. Maybe the same now of Shakyamuni when he saw the morning star. But the day when Shakyamuni saw the morning star is 2,500 years ago. It's long past. Now you have it. Now you can see the morning star. Or maybe in China and Japan around this time you can see the moon if you look up to the sky. Only you can see the moon. Only you can do it. You have it. Preserve it well. Use this day. Use this chance. Use this human consciousness that you call your own, because it's the only consciousness that is right now in this moment conscious. Okay, so much from my side for today. We only got the first two lines, but after Schwen's translation, if you have questions, please feel welcome to ask.
老师刚刚讲了前面两句，然后是如是之法，佛祖密附。这个老师刚刚也说了那个标题啊，宝镜三昧歌，歌就是我们说的那个歌颂，歌曲的歌，然后三昧就是我们说的三摩地，宝镜就是宝物的像镜子一样照射的一个宝镜，就是我们平时的那个意思。如是呢，这个如是在佛经里面。其实以前也提到，我们之前讲过如是我闻，对吧？就是阿难达他开始转述他从佛祖那儿听到的一些经文，那这个也是如是，这个如是其实就是如是我闻的意思。如是之法，它这个法指的就是我们说的业，或者你也可以说是教诲，或者一个什么东西，一个什么理论，或者佛里面说什么因果呀，什么其他这些理论都是法，如是之法。然后他说像这样，就是后面一句佛祖密附。就是像这样一样，直接从佛祖那里直接给到了你，直接传达到你这里。就是 老师说最后这第二句其实特别不好理解，他怎么就直接到我这儿来呢？就是这样，就是这样的一个法，这样一个业，直接从佛祖直接就到我这儿了吗？别人都不知道，只有我知道，直接就给了你。就好像那个，这里就是好像我们有一个，就是禅修的一个，中国也有啊，就是它有一个，应该是临济宗啊，就是他们有一个形式，就是会打人，就是坐禅的时候，谁睡着了会拿一个竹竿儿哈打他，或者说是去叫喊。然后那他这个有什么意思呢？这个意思就是让你马上醒过来，回到现在，回到你现在正在生的，回到你现在正在过的现在。就好像老师说，就是上节课，其实那个 Chris 跟老师提了一个问题嘛，具体问题老师不记得了，但是老师说，其实今天你看，我们今天是11月4号，今天不是5月4号，然后也不是10月4号，好像是不一样的，但是今天好像又是一样的。就是这个现在呢是现在，但是现在呢又好像不是只是有一个现在，好像有一个之前的现在，也有一个好像不存在的一个现在，就是它好像是有两个现在。那这两个现在哪个才是真的现在呢？你可以说是这样吧，也可以说好像不是这样的。这就是之前老师讨论那个问题啊。然后就好像这个，就好像老师说我是无方禅师，然后我不是你，每个人都有一个名字，我们每个人都有不同的生活，然后有不同的生命展示在这个宇宙当中。就好像你可以说，我们是不同的两个人，或者说我们是同样一个人，在这个当时的宇宙当中，嗯，就是你很难说，很难辨别哪个是真的，哪个是假的。这个现实就是我们说的这个经文啊，现实是在这个世界上的，但是这个世界上它又停留在哪儿了？它好像也只停留在你的世界当中，只停留在我的世界当中。那我们到底又是在哪儿呢？然后老师回归就说，其实就是你看他第一句话如是之法，就是这个法呢是2500年前佛祖好像有了一个法，现在毫无保留的传到你的这里，就好像当时的月亮一样，当时的月亮是2500年前的，只有你才能够看到这个月亮，因为只有你的这个世界，你看到了这个月亮，你是独一无二的，所以它是个密附，只有你才能够直接从佛祖那里传过来，大概是这个意思啊。大家有问题的话可以提。
Thank you. I changed the microphone. How's the sound? Is it okay? Okay, good. Maybe in the future I will use this. Maybe it's safer than the other one. Be that as it may, we still have a little time. So if you have questions, please feel welcome to ask. No questions?
Yes, maybe one. There's someone else.
Okay. Okay, Andre, and after that, Julian, please.
Okay, so maybe we have this now.
Yes.
I think in Sanskrit they would call it this Tataha, or in German Soheit.
Yes, yes.
How can we preserve it well? Isn't it that
Well,
we always lose it very fast, very quickly?
yeah, interestingly, yeah. I mean, in a way, you could say we could never lose it because we need this now to be here. Without having it, without having this one thing, we wouldn't be here. Couldn't hear, we couldn't listen. But as you say, we always lose it, which means our mind is always somewhere else. As I always say, our mind is always on the map. And of course, our feet are standing in the landscape, but our mind, our head is in the clouds, you would say in English. We always have our head in the clouds and forget where our feet are actually standing. And in a way, Zen practice means to also get back with the whole body and mind into the landscape. Of course, we need this map. For example, I need my calendar and I have, I don't know, things to do next week and in December and next year. I already have my calendar full, and it's important to know where you are on the calendar, but you don't want to live your whole life on the calendar. So losing track of the now means kind of being lost on the calendar. It's only yesterday, today, tomorrow for you, and you forget. But I'm always here in this one moment, the only moment that counts. So this happens for some reason. When we grow up, more and more we lose contact to this one moment, one consciousness that in a way we can never lose, but somehow our mind is always somewhere else. But well, Zen is exactly to point us back to, hey, don't forget this one thing that the Buddha awakened to when he saw the morning star, and this one thing that Bodhidharma brought from India to China, although Bodhidharma didn't bring anything. And Dogen, when he came back from China to Japan, he said, I came with open hands. Exactly, that's the point of this one thing. It's nothing that you can grasp. It's your original face, as we would say in Zen, the original face that you even had before your mother and father were born. You can never lose it, but you always forget it because you look outside. Well, where is this face that everybody's talking about? It's your face, you can't see it. And even if you look in the mirror, you see your face, but even that is not it. Or in a way it is it, but you can also say it's not it. And exactly that's what this text will say in a couple of lines. When you look in the mirror, you see it intimately and it's you, but it's also not you.
Thank you. So to preserve it well would mean to practice Zazen.
Yes, practice Zazen, be in the moment. When you wash the dishes, wash the dishes. When you eat your breakfast, eat your breakfast. And these are also simple examples where usually we're somewhere else. We eat our breakfast, but we check the news. Our mind is not with the breakfast. When we do the dishes, maybe with our headphones, we listen to music, we're somewhere else. We don't really do the dishes. And in Zen, the metaphor that I always use is we take a break from the game. We just sit for 30 minutes. We don't have to do anything. We just return to the reality of these 30 minutes. I think Julian also wanted to ask something.
Yeah, I was just going to say, on this 3-week solo hiking I was doing, it really reminded me that the map is not the territory. Every day,
Yes,
I
yes.
spent a year planning the trip, but the reality of being at that point on the map was not anything like looking at the map. It was and not wanting to listen to any music, not wanting to read any books, just to walk and walk. But my question was, looking a little bit ahead on the text there, is there a
Yes.
West influence to this? Where I mean,
A
it
Western
reads almost like
influence?
Tao Te Ching type, Taoist.
I'm sure. I mean, the influence of Taoism on early Zen was really strong, or also later Zen. So again, we don't know if this text was written in the 9th or even in the 12th or 13th century, but Taoism always had a very strong influence on Chinese Zen. So I would be surprised if there would be no influence at all. I'm sure there was.
Yeah, even that, just some of the lines coming up are so Tao Te Ching like,
Yes.
reversing opposites and so forth.
Yes. I'm sure there must be some kind of influence. Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Anything else that you would like to share? If not, it's just 2 minutes past 9. So if you have no more questions, I would thank you for participating. Thank you for Xuanzan for hosting us. And next week I would get back to this book, To You, by Sawaki Roshi. And then in 2 weeks it would be the Hokyo Zammai, the treasure mirror Samadhi song. So yeah, thank you everybody. Have a nice week and see you again.